Jayden Daniels or Patrick Mahomes rest
Ooh.
of season. Now, we finally saw after, and I say finally because Jayden Daniels was hot out of the gate. And all of a sudden, he ran into what we call the Cliff Kingsbury wall because it's been well documented in the second half of a season, Kingsbury's offenses, for whatever reason, start to falter. Maybe the defense has learned too much. Maybe he's, I don't know, maybe he's a
Lack of
little
motion to
timid.
the wide receiver one.
There you go. There's a lot of that. So, but that or Pat Mahomes' rest of season, Anthony, if I have to answer this, though, which I do because I'm on the podcast and I'm asking it, I'm saying I'm going with Pat Mahomes' rest of season. Um, again, we've seen the trend. We saw Jayden Daniels come out of the gate swinging and then slow down. He was good this week, obviously, clearly. Now we saw Pat Mahomes, though, started off slow, but now over the last few weeks, he's been putting up 20-point performances, which I know people scoff at that because, they're thinking of Pat Mahomes of, in his first few years where 20 points were commonplace. I mean, where is it? Pat Mahomes didn't have a 20-point game until week 9. Since that time, 19, 16, 17, 28. So he's putting up the points now. I don't think it's going to be this juggernaut offense, but I do think I would put more trust in Pat Mahomes with DeAndre Hopkins, with apparently now Noah Gray and Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy and Isaiah Pacheco coming back. I think I'd put more faith in that offense doing the right thing than I would Cliff Kingsbury. Can you make a case for me to trust Cliff Kingsbury, at least in this discussion of rest of season, Jayden Daniels or Pat Mahomes?
So this is, I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy, as people know, and on paper, you would think Jayden Daniels is the way to go. He brings the high rushing floor, which obviously is gold in fantasy football. If you look at the box score in this Dallas game, 25-38, 275, 2-2, it's over 30 quarterback fantasy points, depending on where you play. If you take away that Terry McLaurin long touchdown, the game isn't as good as it looks. Still a nice, high scoring game for Jayden Daniels. But since week 10, I get he has the injury he's dealing with.
Right.
These good defenses in Philly and Pittsburgh, they figured out how to shut him down. Dallas is not in that tier. Tennessee, I don't know what Tennessee's going to bring to the table. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're not. But I think Tennessee could potentially give Jayden Daniels fits. You have week 14, Jayden Daniels. Well, he's on a bye. You can't use him. And then coming out, New Orleans should be nice. Then you got Philly again, and then Atlanta, which should be nice. You have two spots where you can't really use him. Philly bye week. I think Tennessee could be a little bit tough.
Titans are 17th in points allowed, but they've only had 3 games in which they've allowed a quarterback to score more than 20 points. So, yeah.
And then you got Mahomes, who looks like he's playing like Mahomes again. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns in 3 out of his past 4 games. Mahomes went a long time without throwing 3 touchdowns. He was hard pressed to hit 2 touchdowns some weeks.
There was one point where he didn't have a 20-point game in a full calendar year in terms of fantasy. Yeah.
Since week 8, he's gone over 20 quarterback points in all but one game. The game in which he did it against Denver, which they won, by the way, still goes right around 19, 266 and a touchdown. Solid stat line. Still had 4 plays over 20 yards. So this offense is becoming more explosive. DeAndre Hopkins, he scored. He's not really popping yet. I still think he's getting acclimated, but the defense, they still have to game plan against him. They got a game plan against Worthy. They got a game plan against Kelce. You have Noah Gray, who's now gone for 4 touchdowns in his past 2 games. He's emerging as another weapon for Patrick Mahomes because you can't cover everybody. Now, what are they going to do? Try to focus on Noah Gray? Then you're going to let Kelce get loose.
Right.
This team is starting to get dangerous again. And I want to hitch my wagon to that team, that quarterback, and that offensive play caller. You get Oakland or Vegas, the Chargers, Cleveland, Houston, and then Pittsburgh in week 17. I would say schedule-wise, maybe Jayden Daniels has a little bit easier. But they're very limited with weapons. You take McLaurin out, and again, if you look at McLaurin's box score, you take away that big touchdown, he either goes for 100 and a touchdown or he goes for under 20 or 30 yards. Yeah. You take McLaurin out, the offense is different. You got to lean on Noah Brown and Zach Ertz, maybe Zacchaeus. You know, what is this running game going to look like? That running game against Dallas, in my heart of hearts, if Brian Robinson doesn't get hurt, Washington probably steamrolls Dallas. But they can't. Dallas cannot handle the power runner. What if Brian Robinson misses some time? I don't know. And Chiefs got Pacheco.
Sounds like he's going to.
Chiefs got Pacheco coming back. I don't know. I just think, you know, a lot of people, including on this podcast, who's not here right now, they just want the Chiefs and Mahomes to fail. I'm not one of those guys. Neither are you.
To me, it is what it is. It's like, I know they're going to succeed. So, like, I'm not going to wish it
succeed.
Anymore.
Patrick Mahomes is going to do, and I think we're starting to see this offense starting to pop again.
Have some fucking balls. Put a name on it.
What do you mean?
Who's saying it?
Who's not here?
Is it Pete or is it Steve?
Both of them. I think more so Steve.
Both of them.
More of I think Steve might be more of the Mahomes hater than Pete. I don't know if Pete hates Mahomes. I just assume because he's a Broncos fan. But I know that Steve loves Josh Allen.
Oh, yes. Hopelessly devoted. Oh, my God.
Me and Steve have battled about Josh Allen Mahomes for like 3 years.